You're listening to Rafa Said It Here, a podcast about spirituality, mental and emotional health, and the real stories of everyday people finding their way back to themselves. I am Rafaela Silva. Welcome to the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rafa Said It Here. My name is Rafaela Silva, and I'm glad that you're back for another episode of my podcast. And if this is your first time tuning in, make sure you hit the follow button, the subscribe button, the notification buttons, all the buttons that is going to allow you to receive notifications of my new episodes. Okay, so you don't want to miss it. But welcome again, you guys. I'm excited for today's topic. As you can see, as I mentioned in my last episode, that I will be recording the podcast from my altar space. You can't see it, but it's in the back. But this is where I receive a lot of my messages, you guys. So I'm like, this is where I'm going to start recording from at the vault of um of where I get the message. But so today's message is it's already yours. Today, we're going to talk about the things that you've been wanting, that you've been asking, that you've been dreaming about. It's already yours. And this message came to me not because I was necessarily asking for something. It was during my quiet time. So usually when I wake up, I have a quiet moment, like I just stay still for a good hour, and then I sit at my altar and I wait to receive the message of the day, right? And this particular day, as I was sitting here, and normally I would get like a quote, a message, or I'll pull a card. I always pull a card every single day. And this particular day, the message that came to me was a scripture. And the scripture that came to me was, whatever you ask in my name, I will do, so that the Father who's in heaven be glorified through the Son. And this I'm just summarizing, okay? But you can find this scripture on John 14, verses 13 and 14. So I thought it was interesting because, when I think about the word whatever, whatever you ask, I'll do. Um, I thought to myself, did Yahusha really was that literal? Like, did he really, really, really meant to say, look, whatever you want, I got you, right? And so I sat there and I began to wonder, like, is that really that? Like, can we really just ask and you will give? Is that what this is? And of course, as always, the great creator says, ma'am, go do some studying, go look this thing up, go do some research to find out what I really meant by this. So I did exactly that. And as always, you guys, because it is a New Testament, I look for the Greek text analysis, like how was it written on the Greek? And then I began to do my own translations of the word to then look up the etymology to see what it really, really means. What is the message for that day, or the message that that scripture is trying to give us? Okay. So I did just that. And when I looked up John 14, verse 13 on the Greek text analysis, it gave me something a little bit different. It didn't say ask, it says you might ask, right? And the word for that in Greek is itis, itisite. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Itisite, which when it's translated, it means to apply. Let me say something about looking up original written text. It changes everything. It changes everything, right? And I think my one of my episodes last week, I did exact same thing. It changes everything. Like you have these moments when you're like, huh, okay, so it's not to ask, it's to apply. That changes everything, doesn't it? That means that so it's not about whatever I'm asking, what I want, it's application here, right? So what exactly are we applying? So, but before we go into that, I went to look up the etymology of the word apply, and this is what I found. Okay, so the etymology of the word apply means to give attention to give attention to, right? To put to work a task or pursuit. So there's two things here. The first, the first definition here, the first meaning rather, the origin of this word apply is to give attention to. So that means what? That means whatever I'm giving attention to every single day, whatever I'm paying attention to, whatever I'm focusing on, whatever I am giving attention to is the etymology of the word apply. But it also has a meaning of to put to work a task or pursuit. So basically, it's telling me to do two things. Yahusha says, okay, whatever it is that you give attention to, put to work a task, that thing I will do. So Yahusha said, no, there's something within you. There is something, and here's the thing that I find to be interesting, you guys, right? And it's not to, and I'm not going to go into a whole lot of negatives, right? But the subconscious, because the subconscious to me is where what I like to call your godhood lives, right? So whatever's in the subconscious, whatever is in there, whatever we're focusing, it's creating. So Yahushua is not saying the good things or the nice things. He's saying whatever, whatever, no discrimination. So I'm gonna say that again. There's Yahushua is not talking about just the good things that we are focusing on. He's saying whatever you are giving attention to, put to work at task or pursuit, whatever that is, you got it. Y'all. So it makes you think, right? It makes you like, whoa, whew, let me hit the brakes here for just a second. So you meaning to tell me, what is it that what is that saying? Be careful what you pray for, because God might give it to you, because you might get it, you might receive it. That's pretty much it. Whatever we're focusing on, whatever it is that we're constantly replaying, constantly creating, is what we're get to see on the outcome. Now, with that concept in mind, okay, with that concept in mind, what changes? What becomes different, okay? But before we get into that, right, I want to talk about something called quantum through zero in quantum physics, which means that in quantum mechanics, observation is not passive. It can fundamentally change systems. In other words, what we focus on becomes our reality as an experience. So our thoughts are not passive. Our thoughts are constantly creating. The things that we're focusing on is creating. There's no pause there. Now you can say, "Oh my gosh, I felt like you mean to say that whatever I thought just now, it's going to like, in a second." No, it doesn't mean that either. I'm talking about a continuance of because observation is something that you stop, you observe and you look and you focus, you meditate on it. So I'm not talking about passing thoughts, things that you think about, right? All of a sudden, oh, this thought came in and boom. No, I'm talking about those things that you keep repeating and repeating, the things that we keep repeating over and over again. Okay. So with that being said, before I go into, you know, how we take this and create a positive outcome before I can talk about that, right? I want us to take a moment for just a second and think about all the things that are now present that you keep repeating to yourself. And I want you to do just a quick evaluation of how many of those things that you have thought and has actually come to pass, be it positive or negative. Okay, especially the negative ones. And so, what this text is actually allowing us to do is saying, look, I can create these things for you. I can go ahead and give you these things. These things can happen for you. But you must learn to observe your thoughts. You must learn to pay attention to what you're focusing on because life doesn't stop. Life is in constant creation, okay? Whether we are aware of it or not. So the goal here is to stop and say, whoa, that means that everything that I'm creating is in constant creation. All right, so I rambled a lot just now, right? But that's my ADHD, you guys. So don't mind me. So what do we do? Now that we know, okay, now that we know that which we are focusing on, what Yahusha is talking about is, look, whatever it is that you got it, okay? Now that we know that, how do we use this? How do we use this power that has been given to us? How do we use it to create something positive? How do we use it to also connect to why we're here? How do we use it to be in alignment with what it is that we came to do? Okay. So the first thing is to, well, we're already doing it, but now doing it with awareness, which is to focus, to meditate, not as a way to force something to come into existence, but rather looking at it, say, show me who I am, what it is I came to do, my gifts, my talents, the things that I want to bring forth, like the things that are placed in my heart. Show me what they are. Okay, so that I can focus, so that I can meditate on it, so that I can just, hone in, kind of like the quantum physics. You're sitting here and you're honing in on one thing until you're aligned, until it becomes like, okay, I got it, I see it, right? An example of that, right? So here's before I give you this example, when you get what it is that you're supposed to do, like when you get that clear image, okay, this is what it is. I'm here. I'm supposed to be a teacher. I'm supposed to share information about love. I'm here to share information about physics. I'm here to share information, whatever it is that you call to do. I'm here to be a painter. Like whatever those things is, begin to imagine what it will look like, right? Begin to imagine the final vision, the outcome. And one of the things that I find that really, I'm a big fan of is vision board. Like, so it's a, hey, creating a vision board. So whenever you get that message, whenever you get that clarity, create a vision board. Create a vision board. A vision board could be two ways. You can actually have pictures, or you can create a vision board with words. You can create messages that you've been given. Like, this is what's going to happen. You're going to do blah, blah, blah. You're going to have children. You're going to have whatever it is that's been given to you here in the noggin. Put that somewhere so that you can look at that and be a reminder to focus on that, to meditate on those things, right? One of the things that God did with Abraham, because God told Abraham, he didn't have any kids yet, right? So he said to Abraham, so the Lord took Abraham outside and said to him, Lord, look up in the sky and count the stars if you can. That's how many descendants you will have. And Abraham believed the Lord, and the Lord counted him as righteous because of his faith. Okay. So God said, look, let me give you something to think about. Every time you go outside, look at the stars. It's a reminder of your calling. It's a reminder of what it is that you're here to do. So whatever it is that's been given to you, first stop, meditate, hone in what's in here, what's in the heart, what's been given to you. Hone in on that. And when you get that, then you either put it in a vision board, you can write it out. I like to do stickies on my wall, okay? Post-it notes, do it, post whatever way that works for you. Let that be something that you're going to utilize on a daily basis when you go into your meditative state. Okay. So again, application is focus, attention. Okay. That's one part of apply. That's one part of it. Okay. The second part, as you know, take action. Okay. That is the second part of that, whatever you might ask, or rather apply. So the application of it. Now that I know what it is, start writing down what are some things that I can do? What are the steps? Now, sometimes those steps are not going to be, it's not going to be given to you all at once. Perhaps you're going to be given three, perhaps you're going to be given 10, who knows, whatever it is that you've been called, it's you're going to get the steps as you go. As you continue to meditate, some step is going to come to you in different parts, in different days, in different moments of your life. But know and understand that those steps are going to connect to this other thing and another thing that we don't know yet. They said that we can only connect the dots going backwards. So sometimes the things that you've been told to do that particular day might not make sense. But you have to trust that's part of it because you've been given a command, you've been given what to do at that moment for that day when it comes to the thing that the vision that's been given to you in your mind, okay? So, um take action. That's the second part. And whatever talent, sometimes a good way to understand and kind of connect the dots is what comes easily to me, what comes natural of me. That's a sign right there, and begin to focus on that. Okay. um there's one thing that says that so this is a scripture on James that some of y'all might know, but it connects to the action, where it says James chapter 4 verse 17, where it says, in the same way, faith by itself is not accompanied, if it's not accompanied by action, is dead. I'm gonna read that one more time. In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. So, in other words, faith without works is dead, right? So if we're not, so we got this thing that we're honing and we're focusing on, but we're not doing anything, nothing is happening either, right? So that's called daydreaming. And I'm for daydream. Daydreaming is great because it allows you to really begin to connect really strongly to that vision. But then when you have it, you have to start putting things into action. You have to start taking a step towards that thing. What it says that the law of attraction has the word action in it. Okay. So in order for these things begin to come to pass, you have to begin to take action. Okay. Um, the third part is don't focus on how it will happen or how it will come together. That is not our responsibility is to, okay, so here's our, is to what? Apply, to focus, to take an action, right? And what's the other part of responsibility? Yahushua says, and I will do. Your job, our job, is to focus, meditate, hone in, align, take action, whatever action is given to us. And who's going to do the rest? Yahushua said, I will do. He's going to be responsible for the how. It ain't you and me, boo boo. He said he would be responsible for the how. Okay. So let me give you another scripture that I thought was nice. And this is how Yahushua speaking. And this is in Mark chapter 4, verses 26 to 29. He says, a man scatters seeds on the ground night and day. Whether he sleeps or gets up, the seed sprouts and grows. Though he does not know how, because it's not his responsibility. All by itself, the soil produces grain. First the stalk, then the head, then the full kernel in the head. As soon as the grain is ripe, he puts the sickle to it because the harvest has come. So He scattered his seed, so he's doing. So he's already given to me, like, you know what? I'm called to be a farmer. Well, step one, go get some seeds. Step two, scatter them. Step three, just keep tending and watering and go to sleep. Go rest. Because who is giving the rest? The great creator. It don't matter. What matter is our responsibility is to do, doesn't matter how big or small. That is our responsibility. The rest, Yahushua says, I'll do. You don't have to worry about that. You don't worry about the how. Just go ahead and take that step. Take the step. Trust, which leads us to the next one and the final one. Trust that it will bear fruit. So in John, a little bit prior to Yahushua was talking to his disciple, John 14. He was talking about how he and the Father are one. The Father is in him, he's in the Father, which means is this, you guys. We are connected to source. We're not separate from the great creator. And Yahusha taught that many, many times over. The Father and I are one, which means that you and I are one with the source of this universe. We're still plugged in to the infinite source. Trust that it will bear fruit. Why? Because why wouldn't it? Unless we're blocking it by focusing on something that is not aligned with us. In other words, it's not on good grounds. Trust that it will bear fruit. So here's another scripture that I want to share, and this is Psalm 1 that says, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night, that person is like a tree planted by the streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. And that's Psalm 1, verses 2 to 3. And what is the law of the Lord? What is the law of the Lord? The Hebrew word for law is betorata, which means theory, teachings. And the etymology of teaching, you guys, instructions. What did God review for you to do? What were the instructions that was given to you? What was it that you were told to focus on? What was it you told you were called to do? You were called to be. What was that thing that God says, focus on this and take this action? The rest, I'll figure it out. Those are your instructions. Those are mine. I'm sitting here right now. This has been my instructions. So let's go over it one more time, shall we? And then I want to share these cards with you guys. Whatever you ask in my name, I will do, so that the Father may be glorified through the Son. Whatever you apply, whatever you focus on, give attention to, and put to work at a task or pursuit, I will do. Focus, meditate, create the vision, look at it every day. Okay? Could be through words, could be through images. Then take actions on some things as you are given the actions to do moment by moment. Don't worry about the how. I'll figure out the how. I'll give the water. I'll put the right person in the right place for you. I'll open the opportunity. I'll have such and such call. I will have someone read your message on Instagram. We don't know how, but if there's no seeds, if we're not applying, by focusing, and by planting, by putting, then how can he bring the how and trust that it will bear fruit? All right, guys, so let me share with you guys these three cards before we part. So the first one is the Fool. Let me see if I can bring it close. Okay. So this is our subconscious mind. Okay. And if you look at it, the Fool, he's not worried about the how. Okay. He's about to fall off a cliff and that's not his concern. His concern, like, look, I got what I need. I'm just focusing on what I was given to do. And the fool represents our soul. So, like, whatever you were given, say, okay, I'm going to come down to earth and do X, Y, Z. That's the focus. That's the task. That it is what he's supposed to do. How he's going to come off this cliff, that's not his concern. That is God's concern. Okay, that's the great creator concern. Second card is the magician. So as we get down here, here's when we start putting things to work. Okay, this is the application. The application. All right. This is the application. The thing, all the tools, all the things that he needs. As above, so below. See, he's pointing up, so below. He's like, look, I'm connected to the infinite source. Infinite source. That means that everything that I need, I'm already got inside of me. All I gotta do is focus and begin to take those actions. Okay. And the last card is the Ace of Pentacles. This is um, the fruit, the harvest. If you look at the plush field and what is coming from heaven, from above, from the is the resource, it's the resource. It could be in form of money, it could be a form, whatever it is that you're going to need in order for you to be able to, that's your fruit, the things that's going to help you thrive in this world, to live the life that you've been called to live, the resource that you need in order for you to accomplish that. Okay. So, you guys, thank you for joining me for another episode. This one was, I was very excited. It was a great message that hit me, and and for those who are listening, for those who this message is for, it be may it have fallen on good ground. All right. So I'll see you guys next time. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the follow button. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you guys for listening to this episode of Rafa Said It Here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you can get notification of my latest episode. Sending you love.